Tennessee's at-home learning series for literacy. Today's lesson is for all of our 7th graders out there, though anyone is welcome to tune in. This lesson is the 3rd in this week's series. My name is Mrs. Alley, and I am a 7th grade teacher for Tennessee schools. I'm so excited to be your teacher for today's lesson. Welcome to my virtual classroom. If you didn't see any of our previous lessons, you can find them at www.tn.gov/education. You can still tune in to today's lesson if you haven't seen any of our others, but it might be more fun if you go back and view our previous lessons, as we will be referring to previous learning in today's lesson. Today, we will begin learning about a poem from the Harlem Renaissance titled Calling Dreams. It was written by Georgia Douglas Johnson. Before we get started, to participate fully in today's lesson, you'll need a few things: paper, pencil, a surface to write on, and the student packet for ELA Grade 7, Lesson 18, which can be found at www.tn.gov/education. Let's get started. Today, we will understand the meaning of the poem Calling Dreams and analyze how the structure and language help convey the theme. We have been studying the Harlem Renaissance period, a time in the 1920s and 1930s in the United States where there was growth of intellectual literacy and artistic work from African Americans. Last time, we read and analyzed a poem by Langston Hughes called The Negro Speaks of Rivers. We learned that in that poem, Hughes communicated the theme that Black people are connected to a long, rich, and painful history and draw strength and wisdom from it. He used structural techniques such as repetition of lines, phrases, and words, and figurative language, like the metaphor of rivers, to convey his theme. Today, we are going to continue our study of the Harlem Renaissance. Our goal is to analyze the structure and figurative language of a poem to identify a theme and understand how it's developed. We will read Georgia Douglas Johnson's poem, Calling Dreams. Johnson was a poet, playwright, and newspaper columnist. While living in Washington, D.C., Johnson frequently hosted meetings with other writers of the Harlem Renaissance. We will begin with me showing you what that looks like, and then there will be time for you to practice on your own with my support. Finally, I will assign you independent work to complete after the video ends. To get ready, I'm going to make a note catcher so that I can keep track of my thoughts. And I'd like you to make this note catcher on your paper too, to jot down your thoughts about the poem. Make sure to draw it to fill your page. As usual, I'm going to read the entire poem the first time without stopping, so close your eyes. This time, I want you to just listen and notice what you see in your mind and how you feel. Ready? Here's the poem. Calling Dreams by Georgia Douglas Johnson. The right to make my dreams come true, I ask, nay, I demand of life. Nor shall fate's deadly contraband impede my steps, nor countermand. Too long my heart against the ground has beat the dusty years around. And now, at length, I rise, I wake, and stride into the morning break. Okay, open your eyes. What did you notice and feel? Yes, it has some rhyming lines in it. The speaker wants something that she's been waiting a long time to have. I felt impatient and hopeful. Now that you are looking at the poem, what do you notice? There are 2 stanzas, each 4 lines long. Yes, and the rhyming words appear in pairs of lines. Contraband and countermand, ground and around, wake and break. We call these pairs couplets. A lot of times the couplets work to convey an idea. So to analyze this poem, we will first read it couplet by couplet to get the gist or general idea. The right to make my dreams come true, I ask, nay, I demand of life. The first thing I notice is this couplet does not rhyme like the rest of the poem. This might mean the poet, Johnson, wanted this part to stand out. The speaker says she wants to make her dreams come true. I'll write that in the first box under gist. Make sure you add this to your notes as well. Nor fate's deadly contraband impede my steps, nor countermand. The word contraband means something that is prohibited or forbidden. I wonder what impede means. I know the speaker wants to pursue her dreams, and that fate is using something deadly and forbidden too. Fate might try to stop her, so impede means to prevent. So the speaker is saying fate won't stop her from making her dream come true. Countermand is another unfamiliar word. Well, I think I have seen the prefix before, like the counterclockwise when you go to the opposite direction from how a clock moves forward. So maybe this is another way she is saying fate won't be able to stop her by giving an opposite direction. That was a lot in just 2 lines. Let me take a moment for all of us to jot down in our notes. Let's go on to the second stanza and read the first couplet. Too long my heart against the ground has beat the dusty years around. What's the gist of this couplet? What is the speaker saying? I think she's saying she has been down a long time, not able to go after her dreams. I'll jot that down under gist, while you do the same on your note catcher. Now, let's read the last couplet. And now, at length, I rise, I wake, and stride into the morning break. Do you know the word stride? I think we can figure this out if you don't already know. Well, what's happening here? The first part of the couplet, she's waking up, right? From being down, not asleep. The second part says, stride into the morning break. She's doing something into the day that has started, like daybreak. If she's just woken up and the day is starting, what do you think stride means? Exactly. She's getting out. She's walking. So let's write down what's happening here. Let's look at our notes so far. What's happening in the poem? The speaker wants her dream to come and isn't going to let fate stop her. She was down before, but now she's ready to start the new day and make her dreams come true. I only wrote one thing about the structure, just the first couplet. The rest of the poem rhymes in couplets that capture an idea. That's structure too, but I haven't written that yet. I better do that now. You too. Is there anything else you noticed about the poem here? I just noticed the first stanza is about her demanding her right to follow her dreams. But the second stanza is where she claims her power to actually follow her dreams. It's like she is succeeding. No, actually a better word is triumph. because she has to overcome challenges. I'm going to add that too. I'll give you a moment to jot that down as well. Now we're going to reread the poem, but this time we will look more closely for figurative language in the poem and how it is developing a theme in the text. First, what emerging themes have you identified in the text so far? Yes, those are good ideas. The importance of following dreams, how determination can help people overcome obstacles. Take a moment and jot down these thoughts under theme in your graphic organizer. We are going to continue developing an understanding of the meaning of the poem and are ready to look more closely to see how the figurative language adds to the meaning of the text and helps develop a theme. Let's read the poem again. The right to make my dreams come true, I ask, nay, I demand of life. Nor shall fate's deadly contraband impede my steps, nor countermand. Focus on the words contraband and countermand and their definitions. We have already discussed that contraband is something that is forbidden and countermand is to go against. Those are more like dictionary type definitions. But as a reader, we also pay attention to the connotation of words. The connotation is a secondary meaning or implication of a word or expression, in addition to its primary meaning. It also represents the feeling created by a word. Poets use connotation to flavor their poems, to add extra meaning to the ideas they are developing. For example, consider the difference between telling a 20-year-old that they are acting grown up versus telling them that they are old. Which one has a positive connotation? Which one has a negative connotation? Telling someone in their 20s they are grown up seems nicer than saying they are old. The words kind of mean the same thing, but we get different feelings from them. A 20-year-old probably would not appreciate being called old, since to them, old is more like 70 to 80 years old. But grown up makes them feel like they are more mature than they were when they were kids. What connotation do contraband and countermand convey? Is it positive or negative? Safe or dangerous? How does the connotation affect the idea of fate the speaker is describing? You are doing some good thinking here. The words have a connotation of darkness or danger, and this makes fate seem like a dark or harsh force. Let's jot this down in our note catcher under language. Too long my heart against the ground has beat the dusty years around. And now, at length, I rise, I wake, and stride into the morning break. Let's look closely at a few phrases here. Heart against the ground and beat dusty years around. What are these phrases telling us about the condition of the speaker? Is it a negative or positive position? What words help to show us that meaning? Jot what you think in the language box. Remember to write the phrases too. What do you think this figurative language means? Yes, they do put the speaker in a negative position. The words against the ground show that she is being held down or maybe oppressed, perhaps, and dusty years have a connotation of being unpleasant or old. Did your notes look something like this? If they don't, make sure they do. Take a moment to wrap up your thoughts about this part. Let's look at I wake and stride into the morning break. How do you interpret this figurative language? Jot thoughts down in your note catcher under language. You're getting pretty good at understanding figurative language. Yes, these phrases suggest she is starting fresh and new, like greeting the new day. The morning often feels more positive because you have the whole day. And the word stride shows she has purpose as she walks into the morning break. Your notes should look similar to mine. Take a moment to wrap up your notes for this section. We are just about out of time for today. Thank you so much for taking a deep dive into the poem with me. I have one more thing I'd like to ask you to do today. For independent practice, after the episode, write a paragraph explaining how Georgia Douglas Johnson uses structure and language to develop a theme in Calling Dreams. Students, please copy down the independent practice so you have the assignment when the video ends. You have your note catcher that has your thoughtful ideas and quotes that you can use to support your interpretation of the theme. Remember that a theme is the message the author wants to convey to you, the reader. There are lots of ways to write a theme you have found in this poem. Just be sure to include evidence from the poem which you have in your notes. Then share your writing with a family member or a friend. I enjoyed working on the poem Calling Dreams with you today. Thank you for inviting me into your home. I look forward to seeing you on our next lesson in our Tennessee's At Home Learning Series. Bye.